So, like I was saying, this is the fourth webinar of the series, and this is the last one on thematic topic matters. We'll have one more webinar next week discussing the zero waste journey and results from the challenge. So in the past, we've had three webinars, one focusing on compost making, and the second one on the plastic negotiations. And last week, we also had a webinar on air pollution and non-motorized transport. This zero waste campaign has had four thematic areas that it focuses on. And of course, we started this challenge thinking about water. It stemmed from our work with river rehabilitation and restoration, and we saw how much waste has an impact on our rivers. And tackling waste and tackling river pollution also enables us to tackle many other societal problems, because a river is really a reflection of what is going on well and also not well in our society and our system. You can think about, our sewage systems, our waste management systems, our socio-economical realities are all reflected around our rivers, particularly in Addis. This is really a good way to investigate and analyze where we are. So that's where the thinking came for our zero waste challenge. So the challenge in its first week focused on food waste, and in its second week, it focused on beauty and hygiene and the enormous waste that this industry generates. And the third week was around travel. So how does travel impact waste generation, and what can we do about it? And it's also about understanding the system. And this week until Thursday, we'll be focusing on the home and the workplace. And we'll talk about things like furniture, e-waste, organizing zero waste events, and our kitchen, what's lurking in our kitchen, and what can we do about it. And really, it's also about creating a community that understands and also create that mind shift that is necessary to unlock that catalytic ability of individuals acting. So this challenge, we think about it as not responsibilizing individuals for a systemic issue, but it's really about unlocking the capacity of individuals to act and the capacity of individuals to catalyze systemic change. So with that, I say thank you and welcome. I will shortly introduce our two distinguished presenters. Both of them are seasoned professionals in the water sector. Before I introduce them, I would like to also say a bit about water. I always like to start a water discussion by showing the water cycle. I'm sure most of you who have gone through school at some point, probably at the 7th grade, have seen a water cycle image. And this really is, you might have seen a simpler one, a more complicated one. This one that you see on your screen now is from the US Geological Survey, which I think is one of the most comprehensive depictions of the physical processes of the water cycle. You have your evaporation from the oceans, from surface water, lakes, and fresh rivers, and also evapotranspiration from plants on land. And then that goes up, condenses, and comes back as precipitation, and infiltrates into our groundwater, becoming our groundwater storage, and the rest of it also flows on the surface, going back to the ocean or becoming our fresh water. There's also very important snow melt, which is a really important source of fresh water and also storage. I bring this up because I'm sure you've seen this image before, but there's something missing in it, and that's us. So our impact is actually really huge. With our city expansion, we seal surfaces that do not allow water to infiltrate. With our industrial activity, we pollute water and we interrupt this cycle. But none of us actually going through school learn about this and think about our own impact or our own lifestyle in this very important life support system. So I bring this up all the time because this is where I would like to ground our discussion. And when you're listening to the two presenters that are going to come up, I want you to think about how this really important natural cycle is being interrupted and what we can do about it. Thank you. So I will now introduce our first presenter, who is Esayas Samuel. Esayas is a water security, water stewardship, and sustainable development expert with over 16 years of experience tackling pressing water and environmental challenges. As the regional program manager for Water Witness International in Africa and the country lead for Ethiopia, he manages initiatives to improve water security, including water pollution, and promote sustainable development. He holds an MSc in Water and Environmental Management. Esayas has successfully led over 15 projects, fostered multi-stakeholder partnerships, and advanced research to drive water stewardship and equitable water resource management. His work reflects a commitment to creating resilient, water-secure communities across Africa. Thank you, Esayas, and I would like to invite you to make your presentation around water pollution.
Okay, thank you very much, Milha, for the nice introduction. And also thank you for the participants, dedicating your Sunday afternoon for this session. So, yeah, so I will. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, I will be talking about the basics of water pollution. And then I'll just, this will be just based on my past experience working on water security and also personal experience. Pollution is almost everywhere these days. So I will just take you through my slides. So I will have basically, three major areas to focus on, just starting with introduction, with the basic highlights of water, and then going into the water crisis issue. Water crisis, it's now a global issue, not only for Ethiopia. And then lastly, I will just give you a brief highlight on understanding water pollution in Ethiopia. So yeah, to start with the basics, usually we take water for granted, and most of us don't think where our water is coming from, and also where the waste is going. So I'll just start with obviously almost over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, and most of that water is saline, which is found in the ocean. So this big ball that you see here represents all the water in the on the Earth's surface, and then this small ball, which is a bit bigger than a full stop, is representing the fresh water. So fresh water available to us is about 2.6%. And then most of this water is found either deep in the groundwater or it's locked in the glaciers. So out of this 2% of the fresh water, it's only 1% which is available to us. So that means, if in simple terms, if we can fill all the fresh water, in 10 Olympic-sized swimming pools, that means we can swim or we can access only one of those 10 swimming pools. So you can understand how the water issue, or especially the freshwater issue, is very critical. So right now, I mean, just to share some global facts, about 4 billion people live in water scarce areas. That means 1 in 4 cities, which are water insecure. So I think at the moment, the global population is about 8 billion. So that means already half of the global population is living in water scarce areas. If you look at some projections from the UN side, the projection was, we reach this figure by 2030, but now even in 2025, half of the population is living in water scarce areas. That means 2.2 billion people lack access to safely water supply. And then when we look at the sanitation coverage, it's about 43%. So because of this lack of access to water and also lack of access to safely managed sanitation services, almost every 100 seconds, one child dies because of water-related diseases like diarrhea and others. Not only that, we need water also for our production. So because of population growth and also because of pollution and shortage of water, 1 in 10 people go to bed hungry every night. So it's just to give you a background how the water situation is becoming critical globally. When we come to Ethiopia, it's not different from the global situation. So there is increasing climate variability, which is causing flood, and also in some cases drought. And also our agriculture is depending on rainfall, so we are highly vulnerable to water and climate shocks. And when we look at our capacity as well, we have very limited capacity for climate resilience and water management. The same with water treatment and pollution control. So there is a water quality challenge because of different reasons like man-made and also natural, like the fluoride case. Looking at the safely managed water supply, I mean, the figures are a bit different. I mean, government gives a higher number. I think urban water supply coverage, according to the government, is close to 69 or 79% between that. But according to the WHO, the Joint Monitoring Program, it's a bit lower. So sanitation as well, it's very low. So, and then when we look at the development ambition of the country, it's also highly dependent on water. So water issue is very critical. I think defining water pollution is very straightforward. So we can see it in like physical water pollution in terms of color change or turbidity in others, and then the other one is chemical water contamination, and also the biological water contamination because of high biological or bacteriological or viral pollution of our water sources. So we say water is polluted. So when these contaminants are very high, and then when it makes water not usable. So looking at the type of water pollution, one is anthropogenic source, which is human-induced, and then the other one is geogenic sources. Yeah, I will come to the human-induced one later on, or the anthropogenic one. But just to briefly touch on the geogenic cases, especially groundwater contamination because of arsenic, fluoride, in some cases uranium or iron. So there are a number of geogenic groundwater contamination, especially for Ethiopia. The most common one is fluoride. If you look at the Rift Valley area, which is covering about 30% of the country, and I think over 15 billion people, million people living in the area is potentially exposed for high level of fluoride in their drinking water because of natural contamination of to the anthropogenic one or human-induced pollution. So the first one is industrial effluent. So data shows that I think about 80% of wastewater is discharged to the environment without proper treatment. For this, we can look at for example, the textile industry, in garment. So these days, the fast fashion trend is growing very fast, and people are moving from the conventional way of production. So fast fashion is like low quality trending clothes with high risk of pollution to the environment. It could be, discharge of chemicals during production process, and also it could be the microplastic released to water bodies. And then the other one is also municipal wastewater. So especially in countries like Ethiopia, because of lack of centralized and networked sewer system, waste ends up in surface water bodies, which is killing rivers. And then the other source of anthropogenic human pollution is the mining or extractive industry. In Ethiopia, we can look at a few, but not very significant. But there is experience, in different parts of Africa, like Zambia or Zimbabwe, and others, where the mining industry is causing significant pollution. And the other one is the agricultural runoff. So for agriculture, we use pesticides, insecticides, which is causing eutrophication and also pollution of our water bodies. And then the other one is a solid waste, like plastic and other waste disposal to the environment, which is at the end causing water pollution. And we can also look at oil spills, especially in the maritime transport. Climate change also have a contribution in water pollution, especially like increased salinity in others. As you know, climate change is induced by human actions, and then increasing temperature, which increases evapotranspiration, and then as a result, it causes increased salination in water bodies. So when we come to the current situation in Ethiopia, it is a bit challenging to get comprehensive data. Of course, there are a number of studies which shows the sources and also level of pollution. I will just give you a brief highlight into that. So in terms of major sources, it's commonly the industrial sources. For example, some years back, when you look at the laser industry, it was kind of accepted, to have these industries established by riverside or where there is a water body in the closer area. So the assumption by then was to discharge the waste into the water bodies, and the waste will be diluted in the river. But now the river levels is decreasing, and also the pollution level is becoming very high. Of course, currently this situation is changing in terms of the regulation part. Every industry is required to have waste treatment. I will touch that when I talk about the institutional and the regulatory context. So in general, we have significant water quality issues in different parts of the country. So again, focusing on the anthropogenic one, there are studies conducted in urban water supply, for example, from Bahir Dar, where water quality situation in the piped water is concerning. And also in other areas, like if you go to the Central Rift Valley, um, uh, Ziwa area, where there are big flower farms, and also there are smallholder vegetable farms. There is increased risk of water pollution from this agricultural runoff. Even when we look at the flower farms agreement with the government, they have permit to import a number of chemicals. I think over 200 chemical types, which they import and use it for their farms. And then sometimes these chemicals find their ways, in the other smallholder farming. So looking at the institutional and regulatory contexts, yes, we have standards and regulations, but in terms of enforcement, there is still a significant gap. We recently conducted assessments in Mojo area. I think you are familiar with Mojo. It's most of the laser industries, laser processing are located in Mojo. And yeah, there are some companies who have treatment and they release the treated waste to the environment, but most of them are directly releasing their waste into the Awash River, which is causing pollution uh, to the river. So institutional framework, we have some frameworks, but enforcement is still uh, needs to improve. Um, Again, I think most of you are familiar with the new regulation in Addis Ababa, which is uh, kind of a bit stringent, with a high level of penalty, with waste discharges to the environment. Yes, that is good. Good move in terms of enforcing the regulation, but on the other side, we also need to look into the infrastructure development. So as you know, Addis Ababa lacks, networked sewer system. So when we say people cannot discharge their water or any wastewater into the environment, the environment, that means they have to construct pit or septic tanks. So septic tank construction is most of the time is not regulated. So households, even hotels or others, the septic tank that they build is not kind of sealed one. So it just retains the solid part, and then the liquid waste will infiltrate into the ground, which will cause the groundwater contamination. So it is important, to have both the institutional framework in place, and then at the same time have the infrastructure development in place. So yeah, that's the common one. And then health and socioeconomic impacts, I will not go into that part. The next speaker, I think Dr. Andualem, will be giving a detail on that, so I will not go into that part. So in general, so Addis Ababa is one of the hotspots. Awash River Basin, which I just mentioned, starting from Mojo area all the way to Afar. As you know, Awash is the only river which is remaining within Ethiopia, and also it has significant economical importance. There are many cities and towns which are established along the river, including Adama or Nazareth. So the Adama water supply, most of it comes from Awash River, and then Awash River is significantly becoming polluted, which is putting strong pressure, on the water treatment part. Actually, right now, government is trying to cope up with population growth and the groundwater contamination issue by trying to pipe water from highlands, like from Mojo area. But Awash river pollution is really concerning uh, across all its pathway from the Koka or Mojo area or to all the way to the Afar, where we see like the cotton production in others. Hawassa is also one issue. Hawassa is a closed catchment, so all the water that comes that catchment is directly flowing into the lake, which will be a significant threat to the lake. So and so one source of threat is the industrial park, and then the other one is the municipality itself. There are some reports which show contamination in the lake, in addition to the fluoride, the natural fluoride contamination. So this is just to show you the general hotspots of the pollution in Ethiopia. So yes, in terms of the action and then the socio-economical impact, I think that will come in the next presentation. So that's all from my side, and just to give you the basic highlights of understanding water pollution. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Esayas. That really gives us an overview of what water pollution is and what water pollution in Ethiopia is like. You mentioned sewage, and this is really particularly in Addis, but also all other regional cities. It's a huge problem. And in fact, I've seen one study, I think that came out around 9 years ago about Addis Ababa, that the issue you mentioned about unsealed toilets and that the sewage leaks. And in fact, the shallow groundwater in Addis Ababa is connected. So pollution from one side actually travels and contaminates other shallow groundwater in Addis. So and this was identified to be from sewage from septic tanks. So this is really an important issue to tackle in order to improve our water quality. So thank you for that. And our next presenter, Dr. Andualem, who's an assistant professor in Addis Ababa University. I will invite him to introduce himself and make his presentation around impacts of water pollution on our health, on our socioeconomics and environment. Thank you so much. You have the floor, Dr. Andualem.
So I think Esayas, he presented very well regarding on what's water pollution. But still as an introduction, I can say water pollution is contamination of lakes or river or ocean with physical or chemical substances at a level which can cause different problem on the ecosystem, including human, and it harm, ecosystem and make waters unsafe for users when the water is contaminated with different physical substances or chemical substances. Water can be seen differently with different profession. For example, hydrologists can understand water or can study water regarding its distribution, movement, and to some extent, the quality of water in the Earth's surface system, in the surface water, groundwater, or in the water cycle. So basically, they are focusing on water dynamics, resources, which can be influenced by climate, geology, or human action. When it comes to environmental scientists, basically, we understand that water is a very limited resource. So we are seeing water as an ecosystem sustainer, assessing pollution level, biodiversity support, and ecological balance. So we are focusing on protecting water quality from contamination, including the so-called microplastic, chemicals, or wastes. When it comes to civil engineer professional, basically, water is a resource to manage, and the hazard when it comes in the form of flood or erosion. So they are focusing on infrastructure design for water supply, drainage, and wastewater treatment. When it comes to chemists, basically chemists, they are just focusing on the water molecules, and they are saying water has unique property. It is a universal solvent, they are saying because of its polar nature and hydrogen bonding. So they are focusing on water purity, chemical reactions, industrial applications, especially like pharmaceutical, and so on. But when it comes to medical doctors, they are considering water as an essential for human health, related with this so-called hydration, cellular function, and detoxification of different toxic substances in our body. So they are focusing on preventing dehydration, preventing waterborne disease, and balancing the so-called the electrolytes, the so-called the cations and the anions. But when it comes to the farmers or the agriculturalists, they consider water as a lifeblood for crops and livestock. So focusing on their irrigation efficiency in order to, preserve these water resources, drought resilience, and sustainable usage of water. When it comes to urban planners, they are seeing water in city design, space, and flood resilience. So they are focusing on sustainable urban water cycle and reducing runoff pollution, I think. Yeah. When it comes to marine biologists, it's considered as a habitat for ocean health, coral reefs. And when it comes to economists, water is a commodity with supply and demand challenge, pricing and trading implications. So they are focusing on the cost-benefit analysis of water projects and privatization debates. For artists, I think, and photograph, water is a source of beauty, inspiration, and symbolism. So they are capturing its visual and emotional impacts. Lawyers, water rights specialists, that water is a legal and political resources. Transboundary dispute, as you know, even when it comes to River Nile, disputes and indigenous rights. So they're focusing on legislation, treaties, and equitable distribution policy. When it comes to climate scientists, water is a key climate change indicator. Rising sea, melting of ice, extreme weather. So these are indicators for climate change. So they are modeling impacts of global water cycle. When it comes to chief, water is a cooking medium, boiling and steaming, and an ingredient for beverage. So they are focusing on mineral content's effect on taste, beverage, brewing, coffee, and so on. For athlete and sport coaches, water for hydration and performance again. For spiritual leaders, water is scared, baptism, purification ritual, and so on. So focus on symbolizing of cleansing, renewal, and life. For spiritual leaders, for geologists, water is a shaper of landscape, erosion, sediment transport, cave formation. So they are focusing on groundwater reservoirs and ancient water traces. For energy engineers, again, water is a power source for hydroelectric dams and the coolant for nuclear plants. Focus on renewable energy and thermal efficiency. So all these professionals, they are just observing water in different ways. They are understanding water in different ways. So now just I'm proceeding as an environmentalist. So water, as Esayas said, I think it's only 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh water, which is less than 1% is accessible because most of them are occurring in the form of ice in the polar or in the temperate regions, and the other in groundwater. And so even the available water, it's not uniformly distributed. You can't take Afar region, in Somalia region in Ethiopia, Ugaden region in Ethiopia. It's difficult to get fresh water around those areas. And even from this, 80% of the wastewater is discharged untreated worldwide, 80%. But when it comes to Ethiopian cases, even industries, they are discharging almost most of the industry unproperly treated wastewater to the surrounding environment. Even we do have industrial parks which developed very recently, and they have built very interesting and high-tech treatment technology, but still some of them, they are not working properly. When it comes to sewage water, wastewater from householders, they are not properly treated, even if there are fragmented activities in Addis Ababa, but in the other city, they are simply discharging to the environment. This basically because of lack of infrastructure and which cause impacting health and livelihood. Look this picture. This picture shows you the global freshwater uses, starting from 1901 up to 240, especially after 96, after 1960. Look how this global freshwater are highly utilized by human. Look now, even it's not balanced. If you look at the recharging process or the recharging amount currently, it's very, very small. But still, we are utilizing this amount of fresh water from our environment. This again indicator which shows you Earth overshoot day. Earth overshoot day. Now, the green one indicates the amount of resource we are using in the given year. For example, you can take this year, 2025. In 2025, probably we are going to use the renewable energy, the renewable resources generated by the Earth for a maximum of 7 days, 7 months. But the remaining 5 months, we are using from the stock resources, including our freshwater resources. In America, you can say, yerritakan, yemaret yerritakan, yemaret yerritakan. This is an indicator, as I have said. When our demand of renewable resources exceed from the amount of renewable resources generated by the Earth in the given year, the data at which that exceeds are considered as Earth overshoot day. Why clean water matter? Because human health highly depends upon clean water. It's essential for safe drinking and sanitation, even support biodiversity and natural habitat, and vital for agriculture and economic development, even ensure sustainable water and sanitation, even for all the sustainable development goal 6. When it comes to type of water pollution, basically water can be polluted. 9-point sources, it's very diffused source. It's difficult even to identify the location or the source of the pollutant, and it's difficult even to manage. For example, runoff water in agriculture, farmers can pick up different pollutants from the farm and can contaminate the receiving water body. So it's difficult to identify the exact places of those pollutants. Basically, the major type of pollutant, when it comes to major type of pollutant, they are, as I have said, chemical pollutant, basically the so-called pesticides, heavy metals, and industrial chemicals. Now it's a very serious problem when it comes to, in our case in Ethiopia. Heavy metal is a common problem in Akaki River, even in Rift Valley region now currently. Pesticides also in the Lake Zwei. It's a very serious problem. Industrial chemicals similarly. Even now, currently, the so-called microplastic is a very serious problem, microplastic. Even fish water, fishes collected from Zwei, fish collected from Hawassa, even Lake Tana. We have collected, I myself together with my PhD student, we have collected fishes from Lake Tana, and we analyzed the level of microplastic distribution and the type of microplastic in the tissue of the fish. So we have even found significant level of those microplastic. So it's again another problem which contaminates water body, even in our cases. The others, biological pollutants, the so-called pathogenic microorganism from sewage and animal waste, basically in partner with EUMI, UMI, in partner with Addis Ababa University, I'm the one who represents the Addis Ababa University. We have investigated the level of those pathogenic microorganisms in Akaki River using molecular techniques. And beyond that, we have also tried to see the antibiotic resistance profile of Akaki River. So based on just the results, we have found that a very significant level of antibiotic resistance bacteria is available in Akaki River, even antibiotics which bacteria which resist up to the third generation antibiotics bacteria, the so-called ciprofloxacin familia, antibiotics like ciprofloxacin, and again, pathogenic organisms, including Shigella, Vibrio cholera, and so on. Physical pollution like sediments, it's very common again because of this land degradation process. In Ethiopia, it's a very serious problem, sediment pollution, suspended solid matter, especially in the rainy season. All of you know this one. Thermal heat discharge from some type of industrial application. Even in food industry, Ethiopia can be, again, another important source for heat discharge. Even I have seen this again around Mekanisa area. There is a berry factory there. So they are discharging wastewater which are hot, which are warm. Radioactive substance again from mining and the nuclear plant and improper disposal of wastes. I think this needs, sensitivity because we don't have sufficient information regarding those radioactive substances, even if they are very limited study in Akaki River. So when it comes to the major pollution sources, industrial discharge, as I have said earlier, in Ethiopia, it's a very serious problem. We are not properly managing our industrial wastes. We do have poor enforcement of legislations. So as a result, water bodies are highly polluted. As you have said earlier, even take Mojo River. Now it's highly polluted with wastewater discharging from tanning industry. I know the area properly. Even formerly, there was a fish in Mojo town, which were sold with the brand name of Mojo Fish. But currently, you will not get any sort of fish there. There is again one river in Addis Ababa, so-called Kurtme River, which is found around after Georgis Dildi. And the name of that river is Kurtme. As I have heard from my friends, Kurtme means in Oromifa, fish. Fish. Look now. Just as you can understand or estimate from the name, Kurtme, this river definitely contains significant level of fish, but currently you will not get any sort of fish because of this pollution problem in the area. Wastewater discharge from the surrounding environment highly contaminated the water body. Even the waters in Addis, I can say boldly, this one are changed to sewage river. I don't think they can consider them as a freshwater body or a freshwater body because it's completely changed to sewage. Well, there are activities now currently related with the corridor development, probably. This may because of this activity, this water may recover. The other problem, agricultural runoff, again, is very serious problem in Ethiopia. Everywhere in the country, pesticides, fertilizer especially, it's a very serious problem. As you understand now, there is a critical problem in Lake Tana because of the so-called Mboch, which results because of high nutrient enrichment of Lake Zuwai, Tana, the similar Lake Zuwai, even other water bodies in Ethiopia, they are in a very serious problem because of fertilizer application from agricultural farmers. Domestic sewage, as I've said earlier, and urban runoff, again, a very critical problem. You can take in this Lake Abba-Samuel, which is a very, this is a very serious problem in that lake. There is eutrophication there, which results because of this untreated sewage and so on. Oil spill actually is not a problem in Ethiopian cases, even if there's a small amount of leakage again from underground tankers. Mining and construction definitely is again a problem which needs management. Plastic and microplastic, as I've said earlier, it's a very serious problem globally as well as in Ethiopian cases also. But still, this plastic pollution when it comes to Ethiopian cases, are not getting, proper attention. Yeah, policymakers or regulatory bodies they're not properly or they are not giving due attention for microplastic pollution in Ethiopia. So nutrient, as I have said, and phosphate cause algal bloom. It's a very serious problem again. I can't say in all water bodies in Ethiopia, in lakes, in most lakes in Ethiopia. Pathogen bacteria and virus again, as I've said earlier. Cholera is a very common problem in Ethiopia. Typhoid is a very common problem, which results because of bacterial or pathogenic microorganism contamination. Lead, mercury, arsenic, again toxic at even low levels. Lead, well, still a problem in Ethiopia. There are cases of lead pollution, including drinking water. Arsenic in the Rift Valley region, especially hot spring areas, they contain a significant level of arsenic. Pesticide and solvent, again, Akaki and other water bodies in the Rift Valley regions, they are highly contaminated with pesticides. Pharmaceutical, again, there are antibiotics and hormones cause resistance and reproductive harm. So it's again serious problem. For your information, again, together with my MS student, we are now trying to study the antibiotic resistance bacteria in Gafarsa catchment, in Gafarsa reservoirs, and even in some households, bacteria which resist up to the second generation antibiotics. Even this, even at some tap water, even at some water sample collected from households. Now, when it comes to impact of water pollution, it has different impacts. Water ecosystem, it has an impact on aquatic ecosystem. Water pollution poses severe threats in aquatic ecosystem worldwide, basically from excessive nutrients causing algal bloom to chemical toxicity, destroying habitats, the effect of ripples through entire ecosystem and impact human health and the economies as well, which affect definitely the economy. Excessive nutrient, the so-called eutrophication. Now, as I have said, it's a serious problem in Ethiopia. Eutrophication, you'll see different eutrophied water bodies in Ethiopia, including lakes in Bishoftu town or in Debre ዘይት town. Even there at the level of, they're highly eutrophied. Based on, the nutrient status of water body can be classified as oligotrophic, mesotrophic, eutrophic, and hypertrophic. Yeah. So in most water bodies or lakes in Ethiopia, they're at the stage of eutrophic level. They are not just oligotrophic or mesotrophic level. They are at eutrophic level because of high nutrient enrichment, support excessive growth of algae. And unfortunately, some of the algae, they're producing toxic substances which causes even cancer, like blue-green algae. Some actually it's not all species of blue-green algae which release toxic substance, but some taxas of this blue-green algae causes even cancer. Sunlight blockage, again, eutrophication can cause blockage of sunlight and causing underwater plant to die and disrupting again the ecosystem balances. Even some algae species, like as I've said earlier, microcystis release harmful toxin that poisons fish, mammal, and even human. So for again your information, we have got these fish species in Lake Bishoftu and even Lake Babogaya as well as Lake Arangwadi in Bishoftu town. It causes again economic damage. Green and silmy water harm tourism and the fishing industry. So as seen in this lake, in the picture I mean. So it has all these problems when the water body contaminated with excess nutrient of nitrogen compounds and phosphorus compounds, basically, which result from fertilizer application, which result from untreated sewage or domestic wastewater, again from which can be result from industrial wastewater. And even it causes hypoxia, and algal decomposition. When alga blooms die and bacteria consume oxygen during decomposition process. So the bacteria now utilize the available oxygen in the water body. As a result, the oxygen can be depleted, and it causes depletion of oxygen, and we call that hypoxia. Under this condition, fishes and other organisms which needs a reasonable level of oxygen can be die. I think this common problem again in Bishoftu town during the so-called mixing of those water body, especially Bishoftu Lake and Babogaya Lake. I think Kora also undergo mixing once in a year. Yeah. During that time, the water and the sillage which were at the bottom can rise up. And as a result, the level of oxygen will significantly reduced. And this causes even the fish to die and to float in the water body. I think people around there, they are calling that ቆሪጥ ሲገለብጠው ይሉታል, but that is the case. So aquatic organisms cannot survive in low oxygen environments. Loss of biodiversity again is a serious problem. Pesticide, heavy metal, and oil disrupt reproduction and growth of aquatic species. DDT, for example, famously caused eggshell thinning in eagles and nearly driving them to extinction. That's a very serious problem again. Yeah, DDT, even which affect endocrine system. DDT, again, acidification of water body. It's again serious problem globally. Probably this might be also a problem in Ethiopia from industrial pollutant, lower water pH, and killing sensitive species like frogs and others. So pesticide is a very serious problem, which causes even, as I've said earlier, endocrine system disruption, which affect reproductive systems of living organisms, including human. Heavy metal, which affect almost all organ and system in our body. For it, you can take lead, affect almost all organ or system, even if it's predominantly affect nervous system. Arsenic, which affect again most organs, even if it's predominantly affect skin and cause skin cancers. The other, as I've said many times, plastic pollution is very, very serious problem globally as well as in Ethiopian cases, as limited study indicated. So we need to give much attention for plastic pollution. On one hand, it can cause different health problem, and also it stays for a very long period of time, more than 100 or 500 years in the environment. Habitat destruction, again, another serious problem. It's a very common problem again in Ethiopia. Well, we have conduct different study in Akaki River as well as in Mojo River, before 8 or more years before. So there is significant, change of biodiversity in those water body because of the destruction of this habitat by pollution. If you look at the numbers, the diversity, and the abundance of different macro invertebrates in the water body, definitely in some area they're completely died or vanished on those water bodies. Even beyond that, there are also other insects which are living in freshwater ecosystem. Even you'll not get, you could not get those type of insects in polluted water body, in Akaki, in Mojo, and so on. So it affects definitely the habitats of those living organisms. Sediment runoff, smoother coral reefs, and clogged fish gills. Deforestation leading to muddy rivers. It's a common problem in Ethiopia. The muddy rivers, Oil spills, even if it's not common in Ethiopia. Cause mangrove and marshes and seabirds. So deep water horizon disaster, it causes thermal pollution, hot water, which reduces the availability of oxygen and causes hypoxia, wastewater discharge from power plants and from food industry can cause thermal pollution, plastic waste. Well, basically, it's a serious problem from different sources, from different type of plastic. It's not only from the so-called plastic bag. It's not from only from bottled water, but if you look at most material currently, it's made from plastic. And definitely, once we used that material, we'll discard as waste. And cascading effects throughout the ecosystem. When one habitat component is damaged, the entire system can collapse, leading to loss of biodiversity and ecosystem services that humans rely on for food, clean water, and recreation. By the way, for your information, as an environmentalist, we are understanding the environment as a system. I mean, an highly interdependent and interlinked system, where the component, the human are the component, the soil is the component, the waters are the component, the insects, even the bacteria, it could be pathogenic organisms, they are the component. Now, when you affect one organism, definitely it will have a far-reaching consequences on the environment, on human as well, because we are interdependent. So when we damage one habitat component, definitely it affects the entire ecosystem, because, as I have said, we are interlinked and interdependent. Waterborne disease, as I've said, cholera. Now, it's a very common problem in Ethiopia. Even still now, currently, there are cases in some part of Ethiopia. Typhoid is a very common problem. Salmonella, which caused by Salmonella typhi. We have found again this bacteria in Akaki River. Hepatitis A, it's a virus which causes, which results from sewage pollution. I think it's again another serious problem which needs critical, which needs attention. According to the WHO, World Health Organization, approximately 2 billion people drink fecally contaminated water, resulting 485,000 diarrheal diseases annually linked to poor water quality. I think we're highly affected with this one, including even in Addis. It's a very serious problem, diarrhea, which probably related with sanitation and poor water quality. So toxic chemical, as I've said, it may cause cancer. Probably you don't know the exact cause, but still there are serious problems in Ethiopia, cancer. By the way, currently, non-infectious disease is a very serious problem, very, very serious problem. So among these non-communicable diseases or non-infectious disease, cancer is one, which is caused by different chemicals, substances, and virus like hepatitis. Neurological toxin, there are chemicals, metal like lead. I think lead again can be considered as a problem in Ethiopia. Mercury, pesticide again can be considered as a problem in Ethiopia. Damage nervous system. Heavy metal like cadmium, chromium. Damage organ disruptors again, endocrine system. PBA is an additive which found in plastic, and basically, and phthalate again, which is an additive which is found again in plastic, which causes endocrine, which disrupts the endocrine systems. In other words, it interferes with the hormone, our hormone. There are cases again, for example, in Flint, Michigan, water crisis exposed thousands of children to lead and causing lifelong cognitive impairment. Because lead, it causes it affects cognitive development. Not only cognitive development, it affects problem-solving skill, language development in children's, and unfortunately, they are very highly vulnerable for lead. In Bangladesh, again, over 20 million pupils have been exposed to arsenic in groundwater. In Bangladesh, again, it's from natural sources in Bangladesh. Different problems in Bangladesh. People affected highly, their skins, they're affected by arsenic problem. Endocrine disruptors like BPA and atrazine are linked to reduced fertility, birth defect, and increased rate of diabetes and obesity. By the way, not only this chemical, even lead causes, reduce fertility. Lead deform the sperm cell. Lead reduce the motility of the sperm cell. Lead reduce the number of the sperm in male. When it comes to female, lead also causes stillbirth, and so on in females. When it comes to the economical and social consequences, basically, water, can cause different economic and social problems. For example, take this one, Gulf of Mexico. There is a dead zone because of excessive algal growth. The water body is highly, there is a discharge of nutrients, and these nutrients support excessive growth of algae. Because of this excessive growth of algae, the available oxygen there is very low, depleted, and it becomes more or less lifeless. That is why we called it dead zone in the ocean. So it reduces fish catches by billions yearly. And the annual fishery loss is estimated to be close to $2.8 billion because of discharge of nutrients. Florida, again, 2018, red tide costs millions, lost tourism revenue. The tourism impact, again, in Florida estimated around $184 million. And beyond that, pollution can also causes income burden. Families in polluted area spend up to 10% of the income in bottled water. I think in Ethiopia, we are using again bottled water, including myself, because on one hand, we are not confident enough with the quality of our water supply from the municipality. The other is again agricultural risk. People relying on polluted water for agriculture face food security threats. It's estimated close to 3 billion. Water pollution creates a vicious cycle of economic hardship, rising water treatment costs, strain infrastructure and household budget again. Fishery collapse from dead zones. Sorry?
We are almost running out of time, so I would like to give you 5 more minutes to wrap up so that we have 10 minutes for question and answer.
Okay. So agricultural products suffer when irrigation uses polluted water, threatening global and food security. Actually, we are using still polluted water in Akaki River in most part of urban area in Ethiopia, not only in Akaki. Now let me show some pictures. This now, this lake, Bishoftu Lake. Now you can see the resorts over there, but they are damaging the buffer zone of this lake. Now, look now how they are damaging, the buffer zone of the lake. Look now how they are damaging. Now most of us were going there and we are enjoying there. I don't know how many of us critically observe this problem there. Even they are discharging the sewage directly to those lakes. Look again, this again, which constructed down at the surface. I'm close to the surface of the water table. Again, this again in Bishoftu. This is not that one is in Bishoftu. This one is in Babogaya. They are directly discharged wastes from the resort to directly to the lake Babogaya. Look again, this again, wastes from laundry room, which directly discharged to Lake Babogaya. All these are Lake Babogaya, even plastic, which floated there. People they are just enjoying, but while they are just enjoying, they are throwing away plastic material to the water body. Now, after some period of time, definitely this plastic material will change it to microplastic, and which causes different problem. I think thank you for your attention. If you have question or whatever, we can proceed later.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andualem. This was such a comprehensive presentation about the impacts of water pollution in Ethiopia and really the physical manifestations of it and the health impacts. I was also really enjoyed your presentation on the different perspectives of water from different professionals. But I think one person can shift from one perspective to the other, even in one day. You can be an engineer, and then the next point you're going out swimming, and the next point you're taking a picture. So you could shift your perspective from one day to the next. So it's really nice to see the the whole perspective. So if you have any questions, participants, I can unmute you. You can raise your hand and ask questions. I have several questions actually, but since we only have now 11 minutes to go, I would like to give the opportunity for our participants to ask questions. If you have a question, raise a hand. But maybe in the meantime, I would like to say, both of you have mentioned mining. Mining is not such a big sector at the moment in Ethiopia, but it's one that's set to increase. It's currently it's on a ramp up. So what do you think we should do to prepare for that as, advocators, policymakers, and practitioners? That's one of my questions for either of you.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. Actually, it's a problem still because I'm sure you have heard health problem associated with this gold mining around those gold mining area. Sorry. Yeah. So it's a problem there. Still a problem. It can be a problem in other part of the country. So the very important point, first, we should do impact assessment before the start of the mining activity. So based on that impact assessment reports, we should implement the mitigation measure. The mitigation measures, there are different mitigation measure. One could be management of or treatment of those pollutants which can be released from the mining operations. So I think the very important part is that one. We should do impact assessment properly. That's a serious problem when it comes to Ethiopia. We have the legislation of impact assessment, and we are again requesting as a requirement or as a formality. But we are not serious regarding the review process of those impact assessment reports. So there should be, proper review mechanism, and there should be proper auditing even after the implementation stage. Yeah? I think that's again serious gap, the auditing issue. Yeah. I think this is what I can say.
Yeah, I mean, the
Esayas
impact assessment. Yes, Esayas, please, if you can add.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. I mean, mining, when we compare it with other African countries, it's not really significant yet. But still, there are some cases, from gold mining areas, with some health impact on children, deformities, and other causes. From my recent experience in Zambia, there was, significant tailing dam failure, which causes massive acid discharge, which resulted in closing water supply system for a municipality, and also even closing universities. So when the problem comes, it is very, very severe. And when you look at, our regulation and enforcement, most of the time we act after the problem has already been there. So you can look at, the regulation now in Addis. It was really, it is good, but it's very, very late, when the problem is already very worse. So, for the mining sector, one thing which we can do is the regulation part. Because most of the time government compromises, economic benefit over environmental ones. So most of the time, when we select investment areas, we consider the land, we consider the job creation and other factors. We don't consider, the environmental impact and the damage it causes to the community. So we need really to value its impact. As Dr. Andualem said, we need to have the EIA, and then having EIA by itself is not enough. We need to look into the mitigation plans. Having EIA is just to see what kind of impact the investment is going to bring. But sometimes even the EIA is not publicly available. So we can't hold companies accountable whether they have put the mitigation measures in place or not. I think
thank you for that. Actually, the Environment Protection Authority right now is also working on improving the ESIA process. We'll see what comes out of it, but this is really an important tool to use to improve, water pollution and other environmental issues. And I mean, mine water is really an important pollutant, and also one that is really hard to restore. And this is experiences also from South Africa show that now they're really having huge challenges in dealing with mine water. And this is even South African policy environment is much more advanced than ours, and regulation and enforcement is also much more advanced, but mine water is still a huge issue. And as we in Ethiopia are also set to increase our mining activities, I think this is something that we really need to take note of. And then another question that I wanted to ask is around antibiotic resistance. This is something that's currently coming up into this. This wasn't maybe 5 years ago. We weren't really discussing that antibiotic resistance bacteria from water pollution, but now it's also becoming a big topic as more research is happening. Before, we hear from the Western world, because they're in the agricultural system, there's a lot of antibiotics being administered to animals, and also the overprescription of antibiotic resistance. But as I understand it from you, Dr. Andualem, our case is different. And from your research, have you seen an increased incidence of antibiotic resistant incidences in humans from linked to water pollution, or is it just that research stage from river pollution that you're finding antibiotic resistant bacteria?
Yeah, thank you. Really, it's a very important question. Actually, our research focus on the antibiotic resistance bacteria from water body. But in the absence of that linkage, still there are different researches which shows the trend of those antibiotics susceptibility in humans. Even there are very, very recent studies that shows the antibiotic resistance and susceptibility of human even up to third generations. But on my part, still we are focusing on the environment, on the water body. Probably, we do have limited resource for, research or fund. Still, if you can secure that fund, we can also investigate the level in vegetables, because in Akaki, we are cultivating vegetable using this polluted water, which contains significant levels of antibiotic resistance bacteria. But still now, with the initiation of UMI, we are also now we are preparing a manual, a paper, a manuscript, manuscript that quantify the microbial risk issue in Akaki catchment. Yeah. Now we found a significant level of antibiotics bacteria in there, and the community around there, they are using that water for non-potable purpose, like washing, sand extraction, livestock watering, irrigation, and so on. Yeah. So through this use of water, they can be exposed to some level of pathogen, antibiotic resistance bacteria. Now we are trying to quantify that. Otherwise, we do not directly link with human.
Thank you so much,
Do you have any
both
other
of you.
questions?
I think I have several more questions, but we are running out of time and no one has raised their hand to ask questions. So we will close the session now. The session is recorded, so we will put it up on our...
Just before that, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, before that, for your information, if you are interested, this is our paper.
Okay.
Spatial temporal variation of urban wastewater, pollution impact on river, microbes, and associated hazard in Akaki catchments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just I'm the first author. We did this project, research together with Newcastle University and UMI, the main actor or the main initiator. So these are the findings that shows. These are our sampling sites.
Okay, we
for
will
the
put a
bacteria.
link. We will put a link to your research paper on when we put this up on our website and our YouTube channel. Thank you. So again, I would like to thank both of you for your time, for your knowledge, and presenting on a Sunday afternoon. This was a really good session that we've had. And as we put it up on our website and also our YouTube channel, hopefully we'll see more engagement also around this topic. And we'll also conduct this Zero Waste Challenge annually, and we'll look at different topics every time. So I would also like to put up our different social media sites where you can find information. Dr. Andualem, earlier on, you were talking about microplastics in our water system. So we have covered that extensively from different sources, and things that we don't even think contain plastic nowadays contain a lot of plastic. Our clothes, our utensils, almost everything nowadays contains microplastics, and we've covered that extensively on our campaign. So you can go look at our different articles that we have published on our website and on our different social media sites. We've also made several videos explaining these things. So you're welcome to join follow and join these sites to get the gist of what our campaign has been about. Again, thank you very much. Join us next week on Friday as we talk about the results and our experience during this campaign. And yes, we will record and put this up by tomorrow on our YouTube channel. Thank you both. And if you have last words, I will give you the floor to either of you.
Yeah, thank you, Milha. I mean, this is very significant, in terms of bringing change. This is kind of action that we need. We need to bring behavioral change. So to bring behavioral change, there are different factors which are influencing us, the way we behave now. So one of the factors is awareness raising, and then the other, I've been following up your challenge on social media. So that's I think it's a very significant call to action. So if we change individually, then we may be able to change, as a society, as a community. So the call towards, stewardship is a very positive action, and I really thank you for that, and I encourage you to keep pushing forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, okay, thank you very much. Okay, I really thank you very much for providing this opportunity to share my concern regarding the impact of water pollution. I think it's a very important forum. This should be proceed because the first stage should be awareness creation and exchange of information before we are going to design some sort of strategy to address the issue. First, we should have an evidence. Everything should be based on evidence. So we should this initiative or this platform is very important to share, information or evidences, and as well as also to create awareness. Really, thank you. This should be proceed, and we are happy to be part of this team.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all. I will now close the session. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.